It's no secret that I see myself as a gamer. Not just a tiny casual one or anything either. I am a true, hardcore, mainstream, in-the-blood, part-of-the-soul gamer. That said, there are quite a few games even I have yet to experience, and some of them might make you think my description of myself is a lie. After all, some games are just, for whatever reason, considered pretty much mandatory material for anyone who wants to call themselves a gamer. Yes, we gamers can truly be a weird bunch sometimes, and I include myself in that statement. I'm not even going to pretend that I've never been a bit of a prick to someone just because they haven't played game X when I feel they should have, because I'm honestly pretty sure I've done just that. Probably more times than I know. With that in mind, I thought, well, actually one of my patrons thought it would be a good idea to balance out my previous prickishness by pretty much inviting all of you to behave the exact same way towards me. Why would you do this? Because I am going to go over a selection of games a lot of you possibly expect that I've played multiple times, but that I actually have yet to try even once. These are the top 10 games I'm ashamed to admit I've never actually played. Please don't kill me. Number 10. Metroid Prime. Now, before you even suggest it, no, I don't hate the Metroid series, and no, I don't hate first-person games either. Why then would I not have played this game? Well, I do have a few excuses, poor though they may be. First of all, I didn't always have a GameCube. I did eventually, but not until fairly late in the console's lifespan, and even then, I didn't really get games for it all that often. I still have a fairly pathetic GameCube library if I'm honest, and as you've probably managed to piece together yourself, this is not one of the few games found there. Well, what about the Wii version, I hear you wonder? 3 words. Fuck that shit. Okay, so the Wii did have its merits, and it certainly had more than its share of pretty excellent games, but I'm sorry, replacing one of, if not the best controller ever made with some inaccurate hand-waggly bullshit on a stick is not what I'd call an improvement. Suffice it to say, when I do get this game, because yes, I am planning on doing so, I am most certainly going to get the GameCube version. I have wanted this game for a long time, and I expect to like most of it when I finally do get it, but as of now, that remains to be seen. Number 9. Red Dead Redemption. This one is embarrassing in more ways than you might expect. You see, I actually do own this one, so I don't really have any excuses here. In fact, not only do I own it, it was a birthday gift from my brother-in-law. I know, I'm an ungrateful arsehat. I really don't know what to say on this one because I definitely should have played it by now. It's just sitting on my shelf collecting dust and giving me dirty looks whenever I pass it. I guess maybe the fact that I got the 360 version and not the PS3 version is one of the things that's putting me off a bit, but I can't really stick to that as an excuse without seeming like a complete tosspot. There's nothing about the game itself that seems unappealing to me either, so like I said, I don't really have any excuses for this one. I guess I'm just a weird, ungrateful, and fairly massive idiot. Number 8. The Sam and Max games. I'll admit right up front that this may not actually be that bad in terms of so-called gamer cred. I'm pretty certain most people like these games, but I don't know if it's actually something all gamers have to play. I'm still pretty embarrassed to admit that I've never played any of these games though, because they seem to be right up my alley. The style is great, the characters seem likable, they apparently have some pretty decent humor, and they're made by LucasArts originally, and later on Telltale, 2 companies whose games I've really enjoyed in the past. I also tend to like point-and-click games, so again, there's no real reason for me not to have played these games. I guess the first one, Hit the Road, might be a bit difficult to find and or play nowadays as it came out in the days of DOS, but the rest didn't come out until the PS3 era, so they shouldn't be a problem at all. I don't know what else to say really, so... Number 7. The Prince of Persia Sands of Time Trilogy. Okay, so I actually have played the first game in this trilogy, The Sands of Time, but I never got around to playing the rest of them. In fact, to be completely honest, I never even finished The Sands of Time. Now, if it was just a matter of me not liking, or especially if I hated the first game, I think most of us would agree that this would be at least somewhat understandable. As you may have guessed though, that is not the case. I absolutely loved the first one, so I assume I would like the other 2 as well, at least to a certain degree. Fair enough, the second game, The Warrior Within, apparently made the protagonist a bit of an emo douche, and the third game, The Two Thrones, wasn't exactly on par with the first one either, but from everything I've seen and heard, they still make up one of the best gaming trilogies ever. I guess I just need to decide which versions to get, as I don't exactly have a lack of options. It would probably be easiest to just get the HD trilogy on the PS3, but I do kinda want the GameCube versions a bit more. Maybe I'll end up getting all the versions eventually, but as of now, I still haven't played any of them. Number 6. The Mass Effect Trilogy. Now hold on, it's not like I haven't had any experience with these games. I do own and have played a bit of the first one, but no, I haven't actually finished it, and I have not yet as much as touched the sequels. How is this even possible? Well, I'll try to explain myself. First of all, I have to admit that the original Mass Effect, which I definitely wouldn't call a bad game, still never really grabbed me all that well. It just felt a bit, I don't know, underwhelming, I guess. Oh, it's decent enough, and part of the problem is probably that I just haven't gotten to the best parts yet, but yeah, it just felt a bit lacking to me. That said, I did like it enough to want to play through it, and from what I understand, the sequels only get better. However, I don't really want to play the sequels until I've finished the first one. It may not be entirely necessary, no, but I do tend to prefer playing through a series from beginning to end instead of just skipping ahead, especially in a fairly story-focused and tightly connected franchise like this one. Most of those statements are just excuses though. Apart from possibly the length of the games, there's not really anything about them that prevents me from acquiring and playing them. I'm certain that I will get around to them eventually, but right now, I am one of the seemingly very few gamers that still haven't fully experienced this series. Number 5. Grim Fandango. This one I actually feel somewhat justified in not having played. Don't get me wrong, I really should have played this by now, but that wasn't always and still isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do. As some of you may already know, I have always been more of a console gamer than anything else. It's not so much that I have anything against PC gaming or anything, but I've always preferred consoles. I haven't always had the most gaming-friendly computers either, so at least for me, it was never all that convenient to play on PC. While I've wanted to play this game since the very first time I heard about it, it was originally only available for PC, and it eventually became fairly tricky to get running at all. Thankfully, it was relatively recently remastered and re-released, but the only home console port was for the PS4. You might wonder what the problem with that is, and the answer is very simple. I still don't have a PS4. Fair enough, my current computer should be more than capable of running the Steam version of this game, so I should just get that one, but like I said, I prefer to game on consoles whenever possible. I'm not going to buy a PS4 just to play this and or one or two other games though, so yeah, I should just get the Steam version and be done with it. After all, this game needs to be played, especially by me, so the fact that I haven't done so yet is pretty damn embarrassing. Number 4. Earthbound. Again, this one is somewhat justifiable, even though I still feel a bit awkward admitting this. You see, this may have been the first game in the Mother series to be released in the US, but we European plebs weren't quite so lucky. That's right, this game wasn't actually released in Europe, so for the longest time, I couldn't really play it no matter how much I wanted to. I did obtain a means to play American SNES cards later on, and I guess I could have just used an emulator or something, but as for an actual legal European version, that never existed. It also didn't help that this game eventually became one of the more expensive SNES games you could find. Seriously, if you think I'm going to fork over at least $200 for one game, you're fucking high, especially now that Nintendo has actually given us a much cheaper option. That's right, Nintendo actually released Earthbound on the Wii U Virtual Console in 2013, so now you can get it for a much lower price. Fair enough, you do need a Wii U, but as I already have one of those, I could easily buy and play the original Earthbound and finally enjoy this legendary game for myself. Why I still haven't done so, I honestly don't know, so while it may have been understandable for quite some time, I no longer have any excuses for not having played Earthbound. Number 3. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Yeah, things are getting pretty damn embarrassing now. As a pretty big Zelda fan, I should have played this from the very second it was released, and from everything I've seen and heard, it probably would have ended up being one of my absolute favorite games. Unfortunately, that just isn't the case. I guess this was somewhat excusable for a while, as it originally was a GameCube exclusive, and as previously stated, I didn't always own a GameCube. I still could have gotten the game once I did get a GameCube though, so that's still a pretty poor excuse. Nowadays, it's an even worse excuse as we now have an HD version on the Wii U. I seriously don't know what's wrong with me sometimes. This HD version should have been an obvious day one purchase as long as I didn't have the original, but nope, I didn't do that. Oh, don't get me wrong, I may not actually have had the money for it, but there have definitely been times before and after that I have prioritized way less important stuff, like food and junk. In all seriousness though, I may not always have had the funds for the game, but to still not have any version of it in my possession and not have experienced it at all is pretty inexcusable. I mean, I can play Unlimited Saga, Planet of the Apes, and Sonic 06, but I can't find the time to play a brilliant looking game like this? Am I insane or something? Probably. Number 2. Shadow of the Colossus. I really am a despicable human being. How in fuck can I not have played this glorious game yet? There's just no excuse whatsoever. For crying out loud, I even own it and I still can't get around to actually playing it? What the hell is wrong with me? Seriously, I do own this game, so I can't really say there are any excuses for not even having tried it yet. The only thing I can think to say is that I actually haven't completed Ico yet either, but if anything, that just seems to make things worse, doesn't it? It's not like I really have to complete Ico first either, at least not from what I understand, so I don't really have any excuses here. If it wasn't for the fact that my top choice probably makes me come off even worse than this, it would most likely take the #1 spot. I really can't defend this in any significant way, so go ahead and start the hate-a-thon. I deserve it. Number 1. Psychonauts. I can't even express how much I dread actually putting this out there. Maybe it's not quite as bad as I think, but I feel like a complete hypocrite when admitting to this. After all, I've held this game up as an example of a game worthy of way more praise and playtime than most gamers give it, and yet I haven't actually played it myself? Even I want to punch me! On top of that, this game just seems like the exact kind of thing I would love. Not only is it made by one of my favorite creators, Tim Schafer, not only is it apparently brimming with weird, zany and fun ideas, but it also seems to be pretty damned hilarious. I should be fucking married to this thing, let alone have it in my collection. There's simply nothing I can say to explain, excuse, or in any way, shape or form make this at all acceptable. As a gamer, not to mention a game reviewer, this game should have been encoded into my blood, so not even having tried it is about as shameful as it can get. There's simply nothing else to say except that I'm extremely, unimaginably ashamed to admit that I've never actually played Psychonauts. You may now verbally crucify me in the comments.